JBN, we keep you informed. Former cabbie's body fished from Clarendon Gully. The body of a former taxi driver, Glenford Singh, was fished from the gully beneath the Longville Park Bridge off the Salt River Road in Clarendon on Monday afternoon. It marked the end of a frantic search by relatives and friends since last Thursday evening when Singh was washed away in a gully at Sandy Bay. Singh, who used to supply the Old Harbour to Sandy Bay route in former years, gave up his taxi job working at Stars HQ in Sandy Bay in his latter years. One of his friends, who didn't give his name, said he has been among the search parties since Thursday. I was determined to help find his body and put closure to this whole ordeal, he said. According to information received last Thursday, Singh attempted to cross the flooded gully to get home instead of taking a longer route. After he did not arrive home, friends and relatives went in search of him and found his shorts near the gully, triggering a more frantic effort to locate Singh. On Monday morning, the search took them to the gully on the Salt River Road, where his decomposing body was seen in receding waters among bushes as vultures circled overhead. Haile Selassie Schoolboy footballer struck by lightning yesterday. A footballer of the Haile Selassie High School in Kingston was rushed to hospital after being struck by lightning during an Issa Digicel Manning Cup game against the visiting Cumberland High School on Tuesday afternoon. The lightning struck the player moments after the game was called off in the first half because of a thunderstorm in the vicinity of Haile Selassie, located off the Spanish Town Road in Kingston. He was taken to the Kingston Public Hospital and was said to be responsive. This is the second such incident in a matter of weeks. 5 players were affected in a similar incident during the Wolmer's Boys and the Jamaica Colleges game at the Stadium East Field on Monday, September 16. Since then, Issa has been forced to call off many afternoon games because of lightning flashes. Man with 1,243 outstanding traffic tickets arrested. 36-year-old Kirk Patterson of Bay Farm Road, St. Andrew, has been arrested for having 1,243 outstanding traffic tickets. The police report that a warrant was executed on Patterson on Monday for the outstanding tickets. He was scheduled to appear in the Corporate Area Traffic Court yesterday. Patterson is one of several persons in recent weeks who have been arrested for having more than 1,000 outstanding tickets. Look out for dengue symptoms, urges St. James Health official. Medical Officer of Health for St. James, Dr. Marcia Johnson Campbell, is encouraging persons to be aware of the symptoms of dengue fever and seek medical attention immediately if any is experienced. If persons have persistent fever, persistent vomiting, and persistent abdominal pain, or if there is any bleeding, these are the warning signs suggesting that the disease is taking a more severe course. We want these persons to come into the health facilities and seek medical care promptly, Johnson Campbell pointed out. She was speaking at a Jamaica Information Service JIS think tank at the JIS regional office in Montego Bay, St. James last Friday. Johnson Campbell advised that staff at public health institutions across St. James have been working diligently to facilitate persons with suspected cases of dengue fever, whether they come to the Cornwall Regional Hospital or to our health centers. We have sought to increase staffing to accommodate persons who need to be seen, she informed. In relation to vector control, the medical officer indicated that the St. James Public Health Department continues to carry out activities across the parish to rid communities of mosquito breeding sites. Our team is out there doing the best they can to do the fogging, destroy breeding sites, and educate persons on how to make themselves safe, she further said. Johnson Campbell also emphasized the need for citizens to play their part in the search and destruction of breeding sites in and around their homes, workplaces, and schools, and in the process protect themselves. We encourage persons to use mosquito repellents and mosquito nets to protect themselves from mosquitoes, she stated. Persons are also advised to discard items that can accumulate water, such as old drums, used tires, and plastic containers, wear long-sleeve shirts and pants outdoors, and regularly change water in animal and pet containers. The Aedes aegypti mosquito is responsible for the spread of dengue fever, Zika, and chikungunya viruses. Government looking to train more dispute resolution mediators. The government is seeking to train more alternative dispute resolution mediators. This according to Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, which forms part of plans to significantly reduce the backlog of court cases. The way in which fewer cases can go to the courts is for us to use alternative dispute resolution. Therefore, the ministry will be pushing for the training of trainers in mediation because we need more mediators across the island. I'll continue to go across the different parishes to ensure that in every community we can resolve disputes in a timely manner using alternative dispute resolution, he said, while noting that key stakeholders, such as lay magistrates, have pivotal roles to play. We must be able to show results, and for our local and international partners and all of Jamaica to see results, it means that justice must be delivered in a timely manner, he emphasized. The minister was speaking at a training seminar for judges and lay magistrates dubbed Train the Trainer Session, Lay Magistrates Court, at the Hilton Rose Hall Resort and Spa in Montego Bay, St. James on Saturday. Meanwhile, Chuck reiterated the government's commitment to expanding and promoting restorative justice as an alternative for curbing crime. This, he said, will aid in improving the justice system's efficiency. Restorative justice must play its part, not only in the schools and the churches, but also the communities. We believe mediation can help Jamaicans solve the conflicts in the communities in Jamaica. We solve far too many problems with violence. This cannot be the way, he argued. The 3-day training session, which ran from September 27 to 29, was organized by the Justice Training Institute in tandem with the Justice Undertakings for Social Transformation Project and the National Integrity Action under the theme Learning Through Shared Experience. It formed part of a strategic partnership between the governments of Jamaica and Canada to further develop and bolster the nation's justice sector. The real truth of the murder figures for St. James. Despite the implementation of the second state of emergency SOE in St. James, in recent weeks there has been a reported upward trend in the number of murders that have been committed in the Western Parish. The latest statistics indicate that since the start of the year up to a week ago, the parish recorded some 105 murders, one more than the 104 that were recorded for all of last year, and significantly more than the 74 that were recorded over the corresponding period of last year. But a close-up look at the murder figures of the parish over the last 18 years gives a clearer pointer towards the actual trend in serious crimes, primarily murders in St. James over that extended period, which makes the existing situation still a relatively manageable and a successful one. By way of the current picture, it appears to be a relatively bloody period for the parish, but is that comparatively so, based on murder statistics over the 18-year period? Just last week, the police reported the gruesome murder of 25-year-old Dale Hilton, who was reportedly hacked to death and beheaded by his machete-wielding brother, 33-year-old Kevin McLeod, in a domestic dispute at their home in the Roehampton district. That followed news on the night of Saturday, September 7, of the killing of a 6-month-old baby who was shot during an attack by gunmen in Norwood in the parish. The deceased was identified as Tara Thompson of Hendon, Norwood. 2 boys, a 14-year-old and the other 16, were also shot and injured during the gun attack. Reports are that about 9 p.m., heavily armed gunmen disembarked from a motor car and sprayed gunshots on persons gathered in the square at Hollywood, Hendon, Norwood, where the 14 and 16-year-old boys were shot and injured. While the gunmen were leaving the area on foot, they turned their weapons on a house where the baby was hit by bullets that flew through a window. The baby and the 2 boys were taken to the hospital, where the tot was pronounced dead on arrival. The police reportedly removed spent shells discharged from rifles and handguns at the crime scene. In the aftermath of the incident, Security Minister Dr. Horace Strang, who is the MP for the community, which is seated in his St. James Northwest constituency, condemned the killing. He also forcefully underscored that the spike in killings in the parish coincided with the extension of the opening hours for small business operators in the parish under the SOE. There was a lot of outcry about allowing small businesses to remain open a little bit longer because there was improved safety. I think the country should be aware of consultation with the Commissioner of Police and the Chief of Staff. We have increased hours in Montego Bay, and the reality is that since that we have had a series of murders, said Chang. He said prior to the extension of the opening hours, the small business operators were forced to close at 8 p.m. Those hours, he said, were extended to 9 p.m. and midnight in some cases. I gave the statistics recently that in 2017, the rate of homicide in Montego Bay was 6.3 per week. In the state of emergency, it went down to 2 per week. Right after the break, it went back to near 7 per week, Chang said. We reached due to the state of emergency down to just about 2 in fact, but in the last 2 weeks, since we have given increased hours, we have seen a dramatic increase in homicides and we are now at 2.33, Chang said. He argued that while there could be a normal statistical variation, I hate to think it is not, and we have to look at how we implement the state of public emergency, because there is always this outcry that, okay, things are quiet, we should give business a chance. But what I'm saying is just the plain facts, and whenever I seek consultation from the Commissioner of Police and the Chief of Staff, I have to bear these facts in mind, and they too have to be totally imperial and totally objective in their advice to the government. And what I'm stating is the fact and what has happened in Montego Bay in the last 3 weeks, Chang argued. On Thursday, April 30, a state of emergency was declared for the 3 Western Jamaica parishes of St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland, following an increase in serious crimes, particularly murders. According to data outlined by the Police Commissioner, between January 1 and April 28 this year, 29 persons were murdered in Westmoreland, 27 persons were murdered in St. James, and 18 persons were murdered in Hanover. In 2018, some 97 persons were murdered in Westmoreland, 84 persons were murdered in Hanover, and 104 were murdered in St. James, which, in the case of St. James, coincided with the initial introduction of the SOE concept over sections of the island over recent times. During the SOE, the security forces have the power to search, curtail operating hours of businesses, restrict access to places, and detain persons without a warrant. A state of emergency was first declared in St. James on January 18, 2018, and ended on January 31, 2019. But looking back as far as 2002, police data indicates that there were 83 murders in St. James that year. This grew to 108 the following year, then rose to 132 in 2004. The upward movement continued in 2005 when 139 homicides were recorded and jumped significantly to 178 a year later. It was 188 in 2007, and even more disturbing, 214 murders on record for 2008. Things got worse in 2009, with 240 murders being tallied that year. Then a period of some consolidation came, with the annual murder figures moving down gradually from 240 to 153 between 2008 and 2012, before remaining in the 160s over the next 2 years. Then things went ballistic from 2015 to 2017, when the annual murder tally shot up to 212, 269, and the all-time high of 335 in the parish over the 3-year period. Those utterly shocking homicide figures for a single parish sent the authorities into a tizzy, after which the first parish SOE emerged in St. James as a general crime control measure. The move worked wonders in producing a big reduction in murders, from 335 in 2017 to 104 in 2018. But with the novelty of the SOE wearing out over time, and the shine no longer on the proverbial ball, so to speak, more runs are naturally and tragically getting on the board. Additionally, with the increasing focus on the special interests of the resort sector in St. James, especially in the resort capital Montego Bay, and the recent pressures to extend the nightly opening hours of businesses across the parish, have come far greater challenges to stem and control crime within the parish and its capital. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.